And good morning, my beautiful America. Welcome back to the All American Book Club. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the midst of celebrating America 250 each and every month here at the All American Book Club. We are also celebrating this month of the military spouse. Yes, you guys know it's Memorial Day this month, and you also know it's Mother's Day, but month of the military spouse does get neglected. And I am telling each and everybody at this audience, those who are living in the DMV area, those who are living around this country who tune into this show, I'm thankful for your support, but we need to step it up and support our military spouses and our children even more so than ever before. So you're going to help me do that this morning with a very powerful book author and also someone who comes from the Navy background, who comes from a military space, and who also was the inspiration behind the article I wrote in the Family Research Council's The Washington Stand about our military spouses and who are the backbone to this country. So please help me welcome from the great state of California, Cortney Cino. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
I'm going to hold up for the YouTube channel really quickly. Finally home, the beautiful illustrations, which I know our audience has seen on the press releases this month. But well done. Love the book. Thank you so much. I'm going to just break it down. What inspired you to start writing these beautiful books for our military kids?
I was in I guess you'd call it like an author group a couple years ago, and it was facilitated by an editor, and we were just doing an exercise, a quick writing exercise, as we always do. And she just said, write 5 minutes about something. And I did. I wrote about homecoming day. One of the times my husband came home, I think it was the return from Iraq or Afghanistan. Um, and she started crying. And she said, this has to be a kid's book. And I said, oh, how could we do that? Write such a serious emotional topic for a child that would be an entertaining picture book. And months of iteration, we figured out we should write it from the child's perspective. They're underrepresented in picture books, and we wanted to be able to see more of them and have them feel themselves or see themselves in picture books, but also serve as a window for other kids to be able to understand that experience that they have.
Yeah, I've heard so many, as we talk, term it military brat stories as they've gotten older to just really kind of understand. They go from duty station to duty station, and they say hello as quickly as they say goodbye.
Yeah.
And and for having friends that come alongside of you after that time period to help them understand really it's a growth process. It's really understanding the very heart of the military child.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, how did the spouse community respond as you started doing this? Because if you
Yeah.
look, people who are watching on the YouTube channel, and for those who are listening in, you can see behind Cortney all of the books that she's been doing for this next generation.
hmm Yeah, it was a great reception. For this book in particular, because it was the most personal story I've ever done, and also highly technical in the sense that we had different aircraft, we had or airframe, we used the F-35
Mhm.
B in
Yeah.
the book. We had military uniforms. We did a lot of research. So from the time that we decided to write the book and work on it, and I worked with Tim DeBeard on this book, he's the illustrator. We started interviewing people, F-35 pilots.
Mm.
So we had a couple of interviews with maybe those folks from around the country, and then a lot of spouses. So we had a couple working sessions with spouses from different branches, and they weighed in and they were very positive. They loved to participate in developing the book and also just gave us feedback that this was needed. So it gave us a bit more confidence that this was the right book at the right time. These folks go through so much. They're working behind the scenes all the time, both the spouses and the kids to support
Yeah.
the service members. And it was a way to highlight them in a fun way that's also educational for people that are outside of the military.
As you were talking about that, I was sitting here thinking, you know, we have a literacy issue in this nation,
Yeah.
and it it's not just in one state, it is across this nation. And
Mhm.
you being able to provide these amazing children's books to not just the military population, but the greater public and the community, And we literally just came off of National Library Week back in April, where it brings to life. It brings a new spirit for these kids to understand and dream again. And, if it gets them out of a broken home and says, hey, I got a library card, I can go read, I can go hide myself in amazing adventure. You
Right.
have opened up so many different doors for learning to read and increasing the learning to read and wanting to read.
Yeah.
Um, Seeing the books behind you, has that been an inspiration to know that there is this need, even more so, to get the kids off the digital, to get them off the TVs and put them in a book?
100%. I think kids increasingly are asking for devices all the time. Can I use the screen for this? Watch this show, play this video game. I have three children of my own, and they're, also always asking. And so if you can create something where that's not top of mind, but they want to pick up a book, and have that experience instead, that's a win, even if it's for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm very motivated about that, being able to provide an alternative. Also, something else that motivates me is just the idea of family connection. So, when a child picks up a book, especially picture books, because they're very visual, and they ask a parent, "Hey, can we read this together?" That's 5 minutes of a memory creation, right? So, and then the topics that we decide to publish and write, I always think, how can this be an experience that the kids walk away from, and feel either inspired or they've laughed or, they've learned something, but it's not like forced down their throats. It's something that they think about now, but they don't even know that they learned. So that's kind of a recipe or pieces to the recipe that I really think about when I'm creating a book.
What have since it's Military Spouse Month, I want to kind of lean into that topic as well. So, as
Sure.
you've been creating these books and you interviewed the F-35 pilots and just the community itself, what
Mhm.
have you seen as an outcome from the military spouse community as you have really leveled up with your entrepreneurship, with creating this book publishing opportunity?
Yeah, I think the military community is very supportive.
Mhm.
Long after, if you retire or you move away, your family may not be active duty anymore. It's a connection that unites us
Mhm.
forever.
It is.
So when my husband and I we live in California. We're not active duty any longer. But I quickly reached out to my network of military spouses some are retired now, some are still in the service active and have, had spouses deploy 8 to 10 times or more. And they were very quick to lend a hand. And so it just reaffirmed for me, it doesn't matter where you are in life, you're united by that service, your experience. And so I found it to be I always felt it was a very supportive community, but throughout this book process, many years after we have, been out of active duty, I tap into it and very quickly feel connected. Like like it was yesterday that my husband deployed. And so I'm very grateful to be a part of that and always willing to help others. So if there are other authors or spouses that could benefit from what I do in publishing or writing, I would love for them to reach out.
Oh, that's fabulous. I also want to highlight Spousely because of
Yeah.
Spousely, that's how we met.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's talk about the marketplace there and where you have been using that marketplace
Yeah.
platform next to Monica.
Yes, Monica and Spousely is a terrific business. Basically, it's a terrific platform where first responders and military members, past, present, doesn't matter, can sell products on this platform. And she's done a tremendous job of creating something for spouses and service members. Families move around a lot. Jobs sometimes are in flux. If you're in one place and you have to move, you don't always get to keep that job. And this platform allows people to be entrepreneurs and sell their products, whatever they might be from
Yeah.
anywhere. And so, you're able to kind of create your business model It doesn't matter if you're in this state or that state, or you transition to different places or you go overseas. So that's been wonderful. And I think it's been a great, refreshing thing for spouses, especially because it gives a sense of security. Like it doesn't matter if we're moving here or moving there, I can still run my business. So I
Right.
definitely use Spousely as part of our channel to reach customers and sell products through there. Absolutely.
When you were active duty spouse, I have seen this for many years, probably since 2012, maybe even earlier. There's just been such an underemployment of military spouses and also veteran spouses.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the Department of Labor today and their numbers, the numbers have
Yeah.
not changed much. And whether looking at Congress full of business leaders
Mm-hmm.
who you would think would say, okay, what can we do more for the military spouse? What can we do more for the veteran spouse? Knowing the military spouse is going to be PCSing every
Mm-hmm.
3 years, it thinks it's a hurry up and wait mentality. It is do it now, okay? And it is how do we better educate our elected leaders to then say, here are one of the most talented pools of people you will find in this country and who are
Yeah.
dedicated.
Yeah. I mean, military spouses have qualities, you know, just by being part of that lifestyle. They are very resilient, strong. They navigate things well. They juggle, right? Multitaskers. And then they also layered into that have, high degree of education, whether it's
Yeah.
formal or just learning from their experience. So they are a very terrific group to employ. And I think if leaders thought of them as, or, think of the situation as, our active duty service members, the ones that are deploying and the ones that are on the front lines, and those are the ones that we always think about, right? They can only do their job as good as the people that are supporting them. So the way that those active duty service members show up is directly informed by how well their families are doing, right? And so
Yeah.
if their spouses are employed and they're able to thrive too, that
Yeah.
allows the service member to do greater things and be more focused on at work. And so maybe thinking about it, that's a slight shift, right? But thinking about it
It
as
is. Yeah.
um, the service member can only be as good at their job as how the people around them are doing. Um,
Yeah. And I feel and maybe that's our calling card, because I was going to ask you, as we are talking to a very powerful audience in DC, but also around the nation, what could be our calling card, whether we are in the veteran military space or if we're not, if we're more in a civilian lifestyle, what
mm,
can we do to help just be there for the spouse, be there for the children, be there for the military community? What are ways that we can engage them to say, hey, we see you, we hear you, we want to support you?
yeah, I think on an individual level, um, just asking more questions. If you have kids or families at your schools or at your churches or,
Mm,
a friend of a friend, trying to understand that life a little bit better.
yeah.
The role of a military spouse or child is not political. So it doesn't
Mm,
matter what your beliefs are in that realm. It's these people are sacrificing. They have a unique experience and try to, on an individual level, understand that. And also just give a lot of grace to the family. So
yeah.
if kids are in school with other kids that are, have parents serving, um, know that they might be going through a lot, that they might be having a bad day because the parent just left, or they're curious when their parent's coming home, or, they're still going to track practice or going to, soccer, whatever, but there's a lot on their mind. And then I think from a corporate standpoint, just there are companies that do a good job, really prioritize military spouses, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. So at the same kind of vein, having those companies really try to understand that experience, and that
Mhm.
starts with asking the good questions.
Yeah, one of the call outs I did in the article was really saying to the boardroom, wake up,
Hmm.
wake up and see the talent that is around you.
Hmm.
And even though we're a post COVID world, virtual is still what a lot of people, a lot of businesses are doing. Yeah, you
Hmm.
may have to go in 1 or 2 days a week, but if you have somebody like a spouse who is dedicated, you are going to get the most amazing work. And
Hmm.
you're going to have that loyalty, that cultivation.
100%.
And so it's really waking up the boardrooms to say, okay, step away from your pride and really open up a pride for America and
Right.
opening doors for these women and men. We can't
Right.
we can't classify just spouses as females because they are a lot of men's spouses as well.
100%. And it's an opportunity for the companies to really differentiate themselves,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of room for more companies to really focus on military spouses.
Mhm.
If if a board or leadership of a company makes that a priority, they could really set themselves apart. And your point about loyalty, yeah, I think, because moving around is hard and a lot of companies don't allow that flexibility, and more companies are requiring people to be back in the office and such,
Yeah.
it really does present an opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, and this was a couple years back at a local base that I was working for during that time period, consulting. And I just remember I was hosting spouse breakfast clubs,
Mhm.
and I was engaging with the spouses, and a lot of them, and I'm re-emphasizing this for those who are listening, but a lot of them didn't realize like, the capacity of talent that they had within them. They were
Mhm.
focused on filling the cups of the service member and of the children that
Right.
they were like, oh, wait a second, I am talented just as much. And to really lift them up and encourage them, whether it's going back to trade school, going back to school, or whether doing something that was fulfilling for them and also could progress them in a longer term career. And
Hmm.
I had so many spouses come up to me and say after each breakfast club, I'm back in school.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy when you're busy filling the cup, as you mentioned, of the service
Yeah.
member and, just making sure the kids are okay, to kind of forget our own skill set and our own, worth in some ways that might be very valuable to external parties.
Mhm.
So I think it's really, on the spouse side, just also it's so hard, right? But try to reflect on that. Give yourself a little grace to say, gosh, I do all these things every day. What do I have that's actually really appealing to a third party? And when you're thinking about um, how do I put that information out there, when you're trying to update a resume or
Yeah. Yeah.
do your own sales pitch to someone, your own elevator pitch, kind of really thinking about that, intentionally, because it's easy to just be like, well, I'm currently doing this for other people, right? But by doing that, for other people and also your own just education over the years, all
Yeah.
those things package you into this great, amazing asset that someone will be looking for.
Absolutely. We have just under a minute left. So I want to highlight a couple of things for you. The power of reading, the books that you are publishing, your publishing house. Where can people hang out with you, follow you, potentially work with you? What
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
opportunities there for them?
So our website is whimspirebooks.com. And I'm on social media on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me on any of those places at Whimspire Books, all one word. And please reach out if you're a military spouse looking for, you probably have a million great stories to tell, looking for publishing services, or just have questions about what that journey is like, please reach out. I'd love to connect. And those are the best avenues. The other way you can reach me is inquiries at whimspirebooks.com. That's a direct email that I answer.
Okay. And then finally, along with Finally Home, do you just want to list a couple of your newer titles that have come out for your
Sure, yeah. Finally, Home is the primary military family book. Another book that's coming out this May is called Arlo Needs Your Help. That's an interactive monarch butterfly STEM story. So that comes out May 5th.
Oh,
Very
wow.
excited about that. And then a couple of the other ones, Sincerely Antonia is written by a little ant. That's super cute. And then we have the Piper's Adventure series. She's a quirky 7-year-old girl who's always into fort building and pets and, your typical 7-year-old. So check those out.
Well, I absolutely love it. And I'm so thankful to know you, Courtney. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We look forward to having you back and
Yeah.
honoring all of our military and veteran spouses. So thank you.
Thank you.
For all of those who are tuning in, stay tuned for our next segment. We'll be right back.